Oh, yeah, that's a great one. Deep Purple. A little bit of smoke on the water action there. How are you doing? Welcome to the Willy Canuck show, or the Haggis and Poutine show, I should say. Welcome, folks. Hope you're having a pleasant Sunday. It's a Haggis and Poutine show today. I'm your host, Willy Canuck. For the next 2 hours, we've got an action-packed show today. Our special guest, Mickey McBryan from Ice Pilots and Plane Savers on YouTube, has joined us, and he's going to be in for a four-parter, about 10 minutes each. Just a fantastic Canadian, lovely guy. It was originally supposed to be a 10-minute interview, and he ended up talking for well over an hour. I mean, there's still quite a bit that never made it to air. So, big thanks and shout out to Mikey. I hope he's listening in Yellowknife. And best wishes to Joe and the rest of the McBryan family and all the staff of Buffalo Airways. Mikey will be coming up soon. Now, Mikey is a big fan of Iron Maiden and rock music in general, so today's theme is rock. I am on Discord. If you have a request and you'd like to make it, you can go to the website, skyblueradio.com, click on chat with us, and I am currently monitoring the on-air DJ chat. You can request a song within the theme, which is rock. It can be anything you like, within reason, and if I have it, I will play it, and that's how it works. Apart from that, we'll get going. We got some great music. We're going to kick off a little bit of Twisted Sister in honor of Mikey, and we'll jump straight into the interview. There will be some music, though, however, just to make it interesting. But yeah, once again, Mickey McBryan from Ice Pilots is coming straight up. Welcome to the show. You can also reach me on email at willycanuck@skyblueradio.com. This is Sky Blue. We're sounding great at any altitude. Let's get something going here. This is a great one from the 80s. Twisted Sister.
Singing's on inside, it makes me money. listening to the Haggis and Patine Show with your host, Willy Canuck.
Sky Blue Radio.
For airplane fans, there have been many TV reality programs dedicated to aviation, such as Airport, American Fighter Pilot, and Airline, just to name a few. However, for many, one show stands out above the rest, and that is the Gemini award-winning Ice Pilots. Running for 6 incredible seasons, Ice Pilots has appeared on the History Channel, the Weather Channel, Quest TV, Netflix, and Amazon Prime. Featuring vintage World War II aircraft operating in the harsh climate of the Canadian Arctic, Ice Pilots gave us a rare glimpse into the life of the McBryan family and their incredible staff of pilots, mechanics, administrators, and rampies. The show has brought a new intensity to television viewers who have enjoyed watching Buffalo Airways battle the elements through intense flight schedules and the never-ending mechanical challenges of keeping their old warbirds in the air. If you are a fan of Ice Pilots, my next guest needs no introduction. He was a key figure in the Ice Pilot series and creator of the hugely entertaining Plane Saver series on YouTube. Here to share his memories of the show and talk about his new fantastic YouTube channel, it is my distinct honor, as an aviation fan and a proud Canadian, to welcome the legendary Mickey McBryan.
Well, thanks for having me. That's quite the introduction, holy smokes.
It's deserved, Mikey. It's deserved. I mean, you know, for me, you're a household name. You can't ignore it. It's such a huge show, and I know that it's got worldwide acclaim.
Oh yeah, no, Ice Pilots was fun, and it's such a part of everything now that it's I don't even know how to put it into words properly, but yeah, it was quite the journey for sure making that show.
How did that come about? Because I mean, it's not like you guys just started doing what you do when Ice Pilot started. This is something that Joe has been doing for years, and you grew up around it. And you know, suddenly it's a TV show. How did that actually happen? What was the trigger?
So Buffalo's actually turned 50 years old this summer, and actually past summer. So we're almost 51 years old now. So yeah, we were around way before the TV show, which started in 2009 when it was airing. Yeah. And the quick story was I was in college. I was actually in Red Deer College in Alberta, and a TV producer was trying to phone the hangar. And couldn't get a hold of anybody, and finally someone told them just to call me, and they called me and basically said, do you want to be on television? And said, sure. I had no experience in TV at all, zero. I don't think I've ever even seen a TV camera besides maybe a news camera. But so that's kind of how it started, and it is a little bit like the lottery because there was a bunch of different shows that they were all pitching at the same time. Yeah. And television, especially in Canada, is a little weird. So you kind of have to come up with like 10 ideas and then pick one. And Ice Pilots was one thing that we developed while still in college. And then during spring break, we shot a pilot episode. And then, right when I graduated, literally about a week later, we started filming here. Wow. And it was kind of funny because no one really knew what was going on because I kind of showed up with the film crew and we just started filming.
What did your dad say?
And that's it took about 2 months before he even realized really what was going on, and that's what kept it going good is he kind of didn't really want to know what was happening. Yeah. And he even watched the shows. I wouldn't say editorial control, but I would watch the shows before they aired to make sure there wasn't anything too crazy. Yeah. And they actually gave me a lot of space, and I gave them a lot of space when it came to the post-production. But my father, on the other hand, kind of watched everything fresh. So sometimes he was really upset, and then sometimes he liked it. But right now, on the reruns, he's actually one of the biggest fans. He loves watching it. And actually, you can hear him whistling in the back here. But
is he there?
He turned
Can you say hi?
Fan. Hey, Dad, you want to say hi really quick here on Skype? Doing an interview here for a radio show. Let's come poke your head in.
Who am I saying hi to?
Yeah, we got Sky Blue Radio here. It's only one way. You only
hi, Joe.
See yourself.
Can you hear me? You probably can't hear me.
Morning, folks.
Hi, Joe. How
I
you
guess
doing?
we'll be all flying around tonight on our brooms, getting kisses. So
brilliant.
Time to say hi.
Joe, you're a legend to me and my family and everybody. We just want to thank you so much for sharing a bit of your life. You are an inspiration, and for me as a Canadian, it's a point of pride for me to know that a guy like you exists, and you've just had such an amazing life, and I just want to say thanks.
Well, thank you for getting on, and I'd been pretty well hidden if Mikey hadn't exposed me. So I'd be undercover here. So anyway, thanks. Where are you at?
I currently live in Scotland. I've been here for 16 years. I'm originally from Hamilton, Ontario.
Oh, you're living in Scotland, eh? So over in Scotland, you have Halloween night the same as us in
We
North
do,
America
yeah.
here?
Yeah, they call it guising over here. Disguising?
Yeah, we flew in from Hay River this morning, and I took off in the dark over there, and we share a big, beautiful full moon out there tonight.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, absolutely. A blue moon, actually, I think they called it.
Yeah, there's a blue moon. Yeah, I watched it all morning there over in the sky there, over in the western sky from here. It looked really good. Yeah, okay, well, take care of everything over in Scotland for me. And
thanks, Joe.
Yeah.
It probably makes sense. I think I don't want to... I want to talk about Plane Savers. I watched the final episode of Plane Savers. I think, is this the first season with the DC-3, with Delta Tango Delta? And you did it again, Mike. That DC-3 drop that you did for D-Day on the last episode of Ice Pilots got me choked up. And it was that scene with the veterans on the ground, and it just something hit me, because my grandfathers, they're both passed, unfortunately, but they were Royal Navy during World War II. And so I've always been well connected to the veterans and the history and everything like that. And when I saw that, and I could only imagine what's going through their minds when they're watching these troops jump out of a DC-3 just like it was back on June 6, 1944. How was that for you? Because did you get to talk to the guys after and gauge the reaction?
The funny story about that whole thing was I never really thought about the jump until it was there, because there's a thing when you're making TV, is that especially when you're behind and in front of the camera, you almost detach yourself from reality, because I hear it a lot of times with like people that are filming like riots or wars and stuff. They don't realize what danger they are because they can hide behind the camera. And I never realized I was jumping until I had to jump. I knew what I was doing and I knew everything was happening, but I never actually mentally prepared for that jump until I got to the door and I realized, holy crap, this is real. That I was like, because once the airplane emptied out, it was just Corey and I and the two guys with us, and so that to me was almost scary. Well, it was scary, but falling out of the airplane and then seeing the airplane fly away while we're tumbling. Yeah, it was crazy, but the whole thing that still sticks in my head was, it was technically, I wouldn't say like a character, because that sounds like it's contrived, but you kind of escape your body when you're doing so much of this filming that you forget that you're a part of it. So yeah, to me it was that just man, it was just, I was like, what did I get myself into? Like, this is ridiculous. Why am I doing this? And then of course when we got to the ground, it was the veterans were cool, but the most amazing part to me was the young guys that were actually doing this for a living. The guys that just got back from Afghanistan and Iraq that had been jumping out of Hercs in the war zones, like to see their faces, and they're 19, 20-year-old guys, to me, and getting to hang out with those guys for a couple hours after was amazing too. So yeah, not only was the veterans cool, but the actual service guys, both the Green Berets and the Canadian Princess Patricia, Canadian Light Infantry. So it was quite the mix of a day.
That was significant to me as well, to see the American guys and the Canadian guys side by side. It's weird times, and it reflects on the Second World War and the importance of our close relationships that we have with other countries, particularly America. And to me, I thought it was really, really cool to see that, because I think that if you were able to transport yourself back in time to World War II and D-Day, there was probably quite a lot of occasions where there were Americans and Canadians and British and Polish and all sorts mixed into the same airplanes. Sometimes they might have had distinct divisions, but I think there was always probably a few airplanes where, we're out of room in that, so we'll just chuck all you guys into this. I found that interesting anyway.
Actually, it's one thing to do it in the lake, but doing it in, I guess, France at the time would be just man, I couldn't imagine what they've gone through back then to do that. It's just, we're so lucky. Even we think the world's so messed up right now, but it's not even close to what it was there in the 40s. So we're very fortunate.
Agree.
Even if we think it's messed up now, no, it was a lot worse.
You're listening to the Haggis and Poutine Show with our special guest, Mickey McBryan. We'll return right after this music.
You're listening to the Haggis and Poutine Show with your host, Willy Canuck.
Ear-splitting, heart-pounding, stall-inducing music. Brought to you by Sky Blue Radio. Attacking your senses at a sky near you.
This goes out to Valerie. Request from Dead Zone 44. It's Crazy Train. right after the next song. But first, AC/DC. Back.
Snodgrass. I just want everyone to know out there in Radio Land that on my spare time, I listen to Sky Blue Radio.
Sky Blue Radio.
And now we return to our interview with our special guest, Mickey McBryan. So Planesavers is really cool. It's and actually watching the first season, it's an evolution, because I think you had an idea and you started out doing it, and then as it progressed, it got more interesting and more interesting and more interesting. But the one thing that caught me, which made me laugh, is you're so down to earth, Mike. It's when you come up with that marker drawn introduction, like, this is episode 1 with a little guy in the corner. There's no pretense to what you do. You are you. You have an idea, you have something you want to communicate. And I thought, okay, well, this is cool. Mikey's got a new series, and I watched every episode. But as it moved on, you could see it evolve. You could see it was almost like the way that you were doing it was evolving, and you were getting more ideas. And the history that came up with the DC3 and Delta Tango Delta, by the end of it, it was another, for me, a magic moment, equal, if not better than Ice Pilots, because it was on your terms, and I think most importantly it was on Joe's terms as well, and you could really see a softer side of Joe, which was absolutely amazing to see. I was just wondering if you could talk about Planesavers, and how do you find that, as a juxtaposition to Ice Pilots? How has that been better or different, or and how has that actually given you more control about the kind of stories that you want to tell?
It's a very good question. The difference between Planesavers and Ice Pilots, because it is completely different. Going, like, you can imagine Elvis Presley, that's like the television, rock star, and then if you wanted to start making pottery in his barn is kind of what Planesavers started, because it was really a GoPro, just a GoPro, like, right, and I bought a GoPro for actually taking pictures. The kind of story happened was Ice Pilots was getting a revival once it got onto Netflix and now Amazon Prime. So the production company was actually investing money to see if we can do another season or a revival of a couple more seasons. So they always needed a kind of like a base story. So this airplane came up for sale, DTD, on eBay. And at first I wasn't too interested in it because it didn't have a cargo door, because we need cargo doors for aircraft. Yeah. But then after about the 30th link that people send me, because people send me links anytime there's an airplane for sale that is relatively, could be penny green, they send me links. So anyway, then I realized it was a D-Day airplane and it was in Canada, and I was like, well, this is great. So I told the production company, I'm like, hey, like, what happens if we get this airplane and buy it and get it flying for the 75th anniversary of D-Day, which at the time was a little over a year away, but less than a year. And they said it was a good idea and everything. And then they pitched it to the network, and they were waiting back. And I said, well, I made a deal with Benoit, the owner, so we ended up buying it. And then the production company came back and said, they love the idea, but can you do it next year? And I was like, well, it doesn't really work that way. We can't delay the 75th anniversary of D-Day. And, I got to get this airplane out of there because there was a deadline. So I, at that point, was thinking, well, why don't I just film it myself? Like I said, I got this GoPro. So I just kind of started it, but I didn't know how to really edit. I used to be able to edit like on older, like simple software, but the new software out with the new stuff and the HD and everything was totally foreign to me.
It's exactly the same with me, Mikey. It was a whole new learning curve with, if you look at 15 years ago, it's completely different. Yeah.
So then, so I just grabbed my cell phone and my GoPro, and I knew a little bit about YouTube, but I didn't know too much about YouTube. So yeah, I just started filming it kind of episodically, and like you said, with the markers and stuff, I didn't know how to do titles. I didn't have time to do titles, and I didn't have any software. I was just using my laptop. Easiest way is just to draw it. So, and it just came out like that.
And that's a key point for me as well. You did something remarkable in the Planesavers series, and of course, I mean, Ice Pods was a bit different because it was just you doing your daily thing anyway. For the most part, you just had cameras and narrative, etc. But Planesavers, this was something that you actually had to take time out to do, and I think a lot of people forget you've got a full-time job and it's busy.
Yeah.
How do you squeeze that in?
It's because of Ice Pods. Ice Pods, because we did it 6 years straight, and I had to do that. And by doing that, of course, from the outside, it looks like they're just filming you, which is true, but you're also dealing with camera guys, facilitating, talking with people, and trying to find them stories to film, not only you, but anywhere else. Yeah. The whole logistics behind having a whole nother crew. So I developed over the 6 years the ability to be able to compartmentalize my work, to be able to do work at certain times and really be efficient at stuff I needed to do and not really worry about stuff I didn't have to do. And that translated really well to Planesavers, because once the TV show left, there was actually this big void where I could do my normal work very efficiently and then kind of just stuck. I'm like, well, what do I do now? Like, I got all this time. I didn't really have that much time, but in my brain schedule, I had that much time. So when Planesavers came in, it was very similar, and that's, if it wasn't for Ice Pods, I wouldn't have been able to manage that. Doing the daily episodes was at least 4.5 hours a day, but it's not 4.5 hours like from 9 till 3, say. It's 4.5 hours at 10 minutes a time.
When you can manage it.
So I was editing live. So I'd shoot something with my GoPro, run in, download it, edit it. And so when the episode was done, I hadn't even seen the whole episode. So I would go back and watch it once and then upload it. So there's mistakes, and audio channels are rough and that kind of stuff, which I think, like you said, brings the reality to it. And as more episodes go, because we ended up doing on season 1 156 straight episodes, straight days, every single day. By the end of it, I got really, really efficient at knowing how everything works from a logistics standpoint. So, yeah, like Flight Chops came in one time, and he couldn't understand what I was doing as much. He understood physically what I was doing, but he couldn't understand how I was kind of making it all work. And it's really because I didn't know any better. Even now, I look back, because now I only do about an episode every 2 weeks, but I'm focused more on expanding my filmmaking abilities. Sometimes I'm like, well, how did I even make that work? Not only from the production, but the story, how to get stories every single day, which was nuts. So I even look back and go, what the heck happened?
Let's talk about that final episode of Planesavers then, because the same reaction that I had of the final episode of Season 6 of Ice Pilots came into that final episode of Planesavers, and it was, our DTD was a shell. I mean, that was a write-off by most people's opinion, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You know, the hatch missing from the roof, I think, was the killer, because...
And squirrels. There was actually a squirrel living in the cockpit.
Is the squirrel still there?
he's got an upgrade if he's still there.
First of all, you said, okay, we got a year to restore this airplane to flying condition, and it looked amazing. I mean, I don't know, it was such a weird kind of paint style, but you looked at it and you thought, oh my god, that is absolutely beautiful. Yeah. The thing that really grabbed me, all the people that got involved, especially right towards the end. Your dad was there. What was the name of the fellow that was flying with Joe?
Quinn Jones, where his grandfather flew the same airplane. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was such a connection. I'm sorry I forgot his name, but he broke down. You broke down. I broke down watching it, and it was that same element of emotion and down to earth, true life that you've brought to YouTube that I think was introduced to Ice Pods, but this time
you take full credit for it.
Well, I have to give credit to a lot, not only the volunteers and everybody that helped, and of course Stella, who painted it, my father and the Buffalo crew, especially my Uncle Ronnie, Jay and Trent, and all the guys that helped lead the project, but all the Ice Pilots people too, because they taught me that it doesn't matter really so much about the airplane as long as there's people, and you got to really focus on the people. And that's kind of what I the theme that I did, because it wasn't a year. It was 156 episodes, and we actually did the restoration in only 56 episodes, which was 56 days. But when I was editing and filming and actually being physically there, I always knew it was about the people, and because airplanes take off every day. What's difference between this airplane taking off and any other airplane taking off is because of the people involved and their stories. So that's what I try to capture in the mix of the restoration, because there's restoration channels everywhere. But the people themselves and why each person was there, maybe not like their own episode, but over the course you can kind of get to feeling who they were. So when the airplane took off, you as a viewer were there along with us. You were part of it as much as any TV show could do. I wanted you as the viewer there. So that's why I try to talk to, when I was filming, to you. You could be in New York City or Scotland or, under the ocean. It doesn't matter. It was whoever was watching was there with us.
To me, that was, you weren't looking at the sensationalism of television. You were looking at the story and the people behind it. And I think that's possibly something that can only happen on YouTube. I don't know. But what I think it comes down to is you having ultimately control over the content and how that story is told. And but I absolutely completely respect that a lot of people were involved to make it a reality. So I think as a common YouTube viewer, we can only thank you and everyone that supported you and got DTD flying. It was a great story. It really, really was.
Yeah, and the weird thing is, it almost looks like it was planned, but there was no plan. There was, like, if you look at episode, I think 3 or 4, I think it was 4, when we actually go see the airplane for the first time, I had no clue. Like, so there's a part of it where if it's a television show, when you're in the edit, you know the whole story. And this was literally, sometimes I would be filming and uploading within 30 minutes. So people at home got to watch it live too. And having, 30 to 40,000 people watching a night gave you accountability. So when we did the 56 days of, work 12, 13 hours every single day, no days off, it was the people at home were helping because of the viewership and the comments and all that stuff. And so that having that accountability, YouTube as a system, as like the whole thing, actually helped the airplane as much as anything, not only financially because of ads and merchandise, but the accountability, which you don't get on television.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what's next? Where does the channel go from here? I think you've got a new season of Planesavers.
Yeah, we started season 2 of Planesavers, unfortunately, because of the pandemic. It's slowed down a bit from a storytelling point of view. Yeah. So right now, I'm doing mostly, actually, some of my biggest views and stuff have been in the last few months of doing more closed documentaries instead of a long telling story. I try to tell a story within one video, within 14, 15 minutes, and then each video trying to improve my filmmaking and editing and sound design skills, using this time that we all have to get my skills. So when we get going, we got a Fokker DR1 that we're building right now. Wow! Once the pandemic opens up, then we'll be.
Where did you find that?
The Great War Flying Museum. The Great War Flying Museum had one, and it crashed in New York in 2011 at an air show, and they were stripping it out, and they wanted a home for it, so they gave it to me. So.
You're listening to the Agus and Poutine Show with our special guest, Mickey McBryan. We'll return right after this music.
Sky Blue Radio.
Are you bored?
What do you want?
The best you've got?
Turn your comms to 123.45. Sky Blue Radio.
There's a good example of poor programming.
The uncommon cure for the common boredom.
Sky Blue Radio.
Yeah, I hope you're enjoying that. We got 2 more parts coming, so do stay tuned. We're going to break for some music. Bit of Black Sabbath coming up, and we got a request coming up for Flying GB. Man, if that doesn't get you playing air guitar, I don't know what's going to. Black Sabbath, Paranoid. The next one goes out to Flying JB's. Listen there on Discord. It's M83 in Midnight City. And we got some Van Halen come up, and then we'll jump right back in the interview with Mickey McBryan. You're listening to Haggis and Poutine Show. I'm your host, Willy Canuck. Welcome to Sky Blue Radio.
Waiting for a ride.
That's Midnight City, M82, M83. I was going out to Flying JB. Is there on Discord. We are taking requests. The theme show is rock in favor, or in honor rather, of Mickey McBryan. We got 2 more parts of the interview coming up. And God, what a great guy Mikey was. It was really, really, really lovely to have him along. But if you want to make a request, you can make it on Discord. I am paying attention to the live air DJ chat or on air DJ chat. You can reach that by going to the website, skyblueradio.com. Click on chat with us, and you'll find our channel, and I am there. If you got a rock song you'd like to hear, we're running out of time. Get on quick, make some requests. I've got 2 more parts of the interview coming up, but we're going to close out a little bit of Van Halen just now, and we'll jump right back into part 3 of our interview with Mickey McBryan. You're listening to the Haggis and Poutine Show. I'm your host, Willy Canuck, and this is Sky Blue Radio.
Sky Blue Radio.
You just open your ears and listen, you can hear it. I hear it all the time. Yeah! Crank up the radio!
Sky Blue Radio. You're a great pilot because we made you that way.
Yeah. Sky Blue Radio.
And now we return to our interview with our special guest, Mickey McBryan. Sky Blue Radio, just talked about that a bit, Mikey. We have 2 segments of our listenership, which converge in most cases. So we've got the aviation side of it, and we've also got flight simulation. I know a lot of the flight simulation fans love Ice Pilots because the DC-3 simulator is pretty much very close to what a lot of our listeners have at home. The neat thing, though, is there is a Buffalo Airways Virtual that's out there, and they mimic all the schedules you guys fly. They have simulation version of models that you fly in real life, and they take it quite religiously. I must admit, I think I as far as they're concerned, if you're not serious about flying it just the way Buffalo does, get lost. And I just wonder if you ever had any contact with those guys, and were you aware of it, first of all?
Yeah, no, for sure. BuffaloAirwaysVirtual.com started pretty early when Ice Pilots was airing, and they reached out first thing and said, "Hey, can we do this?" Because it's the licensing and all that stuff, and of course I didn't charge them anything. And then so they kept on doing it, and then there's been generations now of people, like the original guys I believe are almost all gone a couple times over. And so the people running it now, I believe, are all brand new and kind of grew up in the system. But to me, it is something that I find very, very fascinating. I don't fly flight simulator stuff, but I do follow along what they're doing. But it is amazing that it's out there, and I can't believe it's not more popular than what it is for the amount of work that is put into it. Like, these are all volunteers working on donations and everything like that. And they really, like the DC-4, we bought a DC-4 one time, and it was Tanker 16, I think it was. I can't remember where it was coming from. But this is like, 2010, so like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was flying in, and someone took a picture of it taking off, and they had it on the flight sim before it landed in Yellowknife with how it was all dirty and everything like that. And it just blew my mind. I remember they changed the ice shield on the AVO, which is one of the C-46s, and there was, bang, here's an update. Here's the new livery with the new ice shield, because there's this big piece of silver, I guess, on the side of the airplane. And just that level of detail just blew me away. And it's such a, like you say, a religious community. It's just a tight group of people. I know at its peak it's either the third or the sixth biggest virtual airline online during the height of Ice Pilots fame.
I didn't know that.
And it was quite crazy. And I try to help them as much as I can, but believe it or not, they're pretty self-sufficient, and they only really ask me if there's any new airplanes or if there's any routes or that kind of stuff. But honestly, they probably know more than I do when it comes to what Buffalo airplanes are flying right now.
That's good. I'm sure they'll be delighted to hear you talking about them as well. So I've got a complaint, Mikey. I've got a complaint. I need to tell you about it because it really, really grinds on me. Why can't I buy that green tartan buffalo hat that you wear on season 6? I can't buy it. Why not?
I could probably win. It's normally when I first started the store, I would only sell the design once, and then when it sold out, it was gone.
Yeah, fair
and
enough.
that was kind of like the scarcity part of it, but also part of it was to keep everything fresh and thing. But as the show and as it got more popular, because I've had the T-shirt store like 5-6 years before the TV show.
All right.
So when the TV show hit, I already knew how all the merchandise stuff works, which a lot of reality people are always behind the curve when it comes to merchandise.
Yeah.
But I really like Jesse James from West Coast Choppers. He was a really big influence to me when I was younger. My brother was in a Red Deer swap meet, and he was wearing an orange or a West Coast Choppers T-shirt. Remember from the early, late '90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, I remember it well.
And but before it was famous, before when Jesse James was just in magazines, he was going to Red Deer and buying merch engines, and merch engines were this high, handmade engines that he was using in his bike. So part of his team was at a trade show, and they sold some T-shirts at a blank table. My brother bought one because he liked the Iron Cross, and so he was wearing it, and people were stopping to him and asking him if he knew Jesse James, and I was like, the gunslinger guy from the Old West. I'm like, what the heck is this? And they're like, oh no, he's this boutique chopper guy in LA who builds bikes and everything. And so I'm like, that's interesting. So when Jesse James became famous, Monster Garage, which was one of my favorite shows, I always remembered, I'm like, well, that's kind of strange how my brother was wearing a shirt and they thought that they knew him, because coming from Hay River in the Northwest Territories, you knew nobody that was famous. There was no connection to the outside world. Yeah. If you were wearing like Bill's plumber hat, it's because you knew Bill's plumbing. You used them, right? Yeah. So this connection that you could know somebody that was famous through merchandise, I found fascinating, because I started making Buffalo Airways gear, and then when I was at airports in the States, people would, because their aviation's so small, would go, oh, hey, Buffalo from Yellowknife. My friend used to work there, and there was like very random stories, right? Yeah. And so I started making Buffalo gear, and then when I started shipping it out to random people, my first sale was actually to a radio DJ in New York that knew nothing about Buffalo Airways and just liked the design, which was strange. Really? Eh? It was my very first sale.
So it actually became like a fashion icon in its own right, without knowing the background to where it came from.
Strangely enough, I still don't know how he found it. The original orders, I used to write handwritten notes and everything on each one, and the whole nine yards, like over boutique. And then once Buffalo became popular as a TV show, it came full circle, because the number one thing I get from people is, oh, Buffalo, do you work there? And so like you could be in Scotland. Actually, one of our biggest customers is actually from Scotland, and Robert Lingston is his name. If he's listening, he's spent way too much money on Buffalo stuff. But anyway, so now if you wear a Buffalo Airways hoodie, because it's so boutique, and Buffalo Ice Pouch is very niche-y, big in the aviation world, but not outside the aviation world. Yeah. So if you're wearing a Buffalo Airways hoodie, people are going to see it and go, oh, do you work there? Oh, do you know Joe? And it's the same thing that happened to my brother. And that's so cool. That's why I always had that baseline for the merchandise, is to be small, and to actually, it takes, some effort to get. It's not, some of the stuff on YouTube is drop ship because that's how their system is. But most stuff on the airware is printed in Canada, brought to the store, flown on a C-46. You order it, it goes back onto a DC-3 or C-46, goes to Edmonton, I have to fly to Edmonton to even get it on UPS. So it's expensive, it's hard to get, it's high quality, but when you do get it, because you had all these barriers of entry, when someone sees you, they know that either you work there or it took a while for you to get that. So I always kept that as part of the whole Buffalo Airwear stuff is that way, and then that creates a value, not only because of quality, because if you have an item, you know that it's not something you just went to Walmart or whether they in Europe, Tiger or something like that. It's something that is not just crazy, because Duck Dynasty and West Coast Choppers became flooded, where you could go to, here in Canada, Canadian Tire, and buy West Coast Chopper stuff, so everyone had it. So I always kind of kept it low and hard to get, because it I like that you can have an interaction by wearing a Buffalo Airways hoodie with somebody. Yeah. Only Canadians will understand the Canadian Tire reference. Everyone else will be. What, you went to a tire place to buy a. We're in Spokane, Funkarani one time, and we were looking for a Canadian Tire because we needed to buy some tools. And he said, "Oh, we gotta go find a Canadian Tire in the States." And we ended up at Lowe's or something. Lowe's, yeah, exactly. You're listening to the Agus and Poutine Show with our special guest, Mickey McBryan. We'll return right after this music.
Sky Blue Radio.
I have a big head.
Big fat head.
The world of aviation has never sounded so good.
Weirdo.
Sky Blue Radio, turning your cockpit into a dance floor.
You're listening to Sky Blue Radio, sounding great at any altitude.
Oh, that's part 3 done. Mikey McBryan from Ice Pilots and Plane Savers on YouTube. Do go check him out. He's making some great stuff, and he's got a lot of kind of single episodes on YouTube as well, which are just really interesting. A lot of history there. If you're interested in the DC-3 and the DC-4 and the Fokker that Mikey mentioned, there's all sorts of content on his YouTube page. So do go check it out. It's under Mikey McBryan. We're going to continue on with the rock theme. We got a bit of Metallica here. Wherever I May Roam. We got one more part to the interview coming up, so do stick around. You're listening to The Haggis and Poutine Show with your host, Willy Canuck.
don't wanna fight no more. All the people nursing shattered bones don't wanna fight no more. But there's no profit in peace, so we've gotta fight some more. And all those who aren't for lands don't wanna fight no more. And all those who lost their feet or hands don't wanna fight no more. But there's no profit in peace, boys, we gotta fight some more.
Listening to Sky Blue Radio, sounding great at any altitude.
Wearing out the things that nobody wears.
bit of Aerosmith there. Sweet Emotion. We got the last part of Mickey McBryan interview coming up. Welcome to the Haggis and Poutine Show. It's great to have you along. Unfortunately, we're running out of time for requests, but if you want to make one very quickly, you can do so by going to the Discord channel. Find that by going to the website, skyblueradio.com. Click on Chat with us, and I am on the OnLive DJ chat right now. I do have time for one more song. Thanks to Flying JB and Dead Zone. Made some requests today, and shout out to JT and the rest of the Sky Blue crew. Let's get back to the interview. And now we return to our interview with our special guest, Mickey McBryan. Biggest celebrity I think that's ever been on a TV show, or certainly a reality show, is Bruce Dickinson. Now, one of the things I find really interesting is Bruce Dickinson had his own show called Flying Heavy Metal. It only went for six episodes, I think, which was really, really cool. And that was when I first became aware of the fact that Bruce Dickinson, in upon himself, is actually a really accomplished pilot. Next thing you know, ice pilots, oh my God, Mikey's made contact with him. Here he is. Could you talk a bit about how that came about and just the whole experience of having Bruce visit you guys up in Yellowknife?
Well, it all started. My brother was a huge is a huge Iron Maiden fan, and I am too. But my brother is the biggest Iron Maiden fan ever. And so he knew, of course, Bruce was a pilot, so my brother would be trying to wear Iron Maiden clothing on the show to hopefully Bruce would see it one day. But because it's TV, they always had to blur it out because, it's copyright and all that fun stuff. Yeah. So there was a lady named Lisa Green that worked behind the scenes on the Ice Pilots, so like a production coordinator, very tough job. And so she took it upon herself to go, hey, Rod, likes this, and Bruce is a pilot. So she went through the inner ways of how that works with agents and production companies and lobbyists and all that, marketing people, publicists and everything, and got a hold of him. And Bruce had watched the show. He said he would watch it at, when he was stuck at and hotels in the States and stuff. And so he said, yeah, so in between the concert, between Edmonton and Calgary, we flew DC-3 down, and he flew back to Yellowknife, and it was pretty good. And it grew from there because he has a hangar in Cardiff or St. Athens, Wales, that we utilized when we were moving 215s from Turkey, so we got to do that. But one thing, actually, believe it or not, Bruce actually has flown DTD. If you Google it on YouTube, I did a full Plane Savers Season 2 episode. Bruce has flown. I flew down the exact same thing. We flew the DTD to Edmonton. We went to the concert. Bruce jumped in, and we flew DTD to Calgary and part of his tour. So he didn't have the 747 this year, but for one leg of the tour, he used DTD, which was pretty cool. And yeah, so I talk to Bruce quite often about aviation stuff. Nothing about music. I don't think I've ever mentioned music besides, hey, can I get some free tickets? So he's an amazing dude.
Why not?
He's just like my father, where he's got about 15 things going on at any given moment. And I'll be calling Bruce up here this week because I got some other stuff I got to talk to him about, some cargo airplane and some parts and stuff. So yeah, that's
brilliant. Well, I think for all the Iron Maiden fans in our audience, please tell them that we all said hello, and it was great to see him on the show.
Here, actually, I know the viewers won't be able to see it, but if you watch the YouTube thing, Bruce Dickinson there, I actually made a custom figure of him from an artist in the States. Now, I actually knew this artist before he got famous. So now these toys that he custom makes are like almost $1,000. But of course I knew him a little bit. So I made this. You got to watch the episode. But it's basically an action figure of Bruce Dickinson in his pilot gear, and I also got Bruce to sign it.
That's great.
And stuff like that.
Is that on Plane Savers? Is that on one of the Plane Savers episodes?
Yeah, it's one of the.
I think I saw it. It does look familiar. So just for the folks listening, check out Plane Savers because you'll see it.
yeah, it's part of the early season 2 stuff. Of course, we had to postpone season 2 because of the pandemic. But
yeah,
I can find it here. Tell you exactly where it is.
Well, let's hit some critical points here. So how do people find you on YouTube? What's your channel? I think your channel is just your name, isn't it?
Go to YouTube and type in Buffalo Airways, Mickey McBryan, or Plane Savers, or DC3, or anything like that, and we'll pop up. My channel's called Mickey McBryan, and I post not only Plane Savers, but vlogs, documentaries, and basically anything kind of creative around aviation, including Bruce Dickinson flying the DC3, which is Plane Savers Season 2, Episode 8. Wow. 12 minutes and 29 seconds, you can see Bruce Dickinson flying my DC3 as part of his world tour last year. It's called Bruce Dickinson Flies Our DC3, Plane Savers Season 2, Episode 8.
So we got one more thing to cover, and this is a tradition for the Haggis and Poutine show. I would like you to pick a song that means something to you. Give us introduce a song and tell us why you've picked it, and we'll kick right into it right now.
Well, just like we were just saying, I got to pick Iron Maiden, Aces High, which was the song I used to listen to in my F-150 cruising around Hay River when I was 17. And I wish I could go back and tell myself then I get to be working with Bruce and with airplanes. So, yeah, definitely Aces High, Iron Maiden, check it out.
That's amazing. I think Bruce will appreciate that as well. Mikey, it has been such a pleasure. You've given us so much time today, and I know that everybody listening really will be so excited that you've come on the show and just given us a bit more insight. And please thank your dad as well for popping in there. That was a lovely treat.
Yeah, he's checking in on me, impromptu cameo.
Again, you guys are legends, and everything, all the content that you've brought so far and everything that you continue to bring to YouTube really means so much to so many people around the world. So all I can say is thank you.
Yeah, and I would like to thank everybody listening and yourself for getting me on here, and all the people that supported the YouTube channel. You guys are awesome, and hopefully get a new video to you very soon.
Would you like to send a shout out to anybody? Or
jeez, there's so many freaking people. Yeah, I get Spaghetti Don and Don Mayer, the two Dons. Those guys are hardcore. So yeah, the two Dons, thanks for all the support.
From my family to yours, we wish you all very well. And hope you have a good winter season. And look forward to talking to you again.
Oh, anytime.
There comes the sound of the gun sending back.
everybody, it's Mike McBryan from Plain Savers Ice Pots and a whole bunch of other stuff. You're listening to Sky Blue Radio, sounding great at any altitude.
By this time, you should have adjusted the volume to a comfortable listening level. All of the people listening should be seated approximately 6 to 8 feet from the speaker. Do not readjust.
SkyBlueRadio.com. Yeah, we're all that in a bag of chips.
This is SkyBlueRadio.com.
I love it.
It's awesome.
Your home for the best music.
As Bit of You Could Be Mine, Guns N' Roses. Moving on to Carry On Wayward Son with Kansas, classic from 1976. You're listening to Willy Canuck. Well, I don't even know who I am now. Got up my meds. That was the rest of our interview with Mickey McBryan. We want to thank him and all his family for great content and for Mikey to come along and spend some time with us. Got about 15 minutes left in the show. A little bit of music coming up.
Once I rose above the noise and confusion, just to get a glimpse beyond this illusion. I was soaring ever higher, but I flew too high. Though my eyes could see, I still was a blind man. Though my mind could think, I still was a madman. I hear the voices when I'm dreaming. I can hear them say, carry on our wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more. Masquerading as a man with a reason. My charade is the event of the season. And if I claim to be a wise man, well, it surely means that I don't know. On a stormy sea of moving emotion, tossed about I'm like a ship on the ocean. I set a course for winds of fortune, but I hear the voices say, carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more. You will always remember. Carry on. Nothing equals the splendor. Now your life's no longer empty. Surely heaven waits for you. Carry on, my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry. Don't you cry no more.
Last night a little dancer came dancing to my door. Last night a little angel came pumping on my floor. She said, come baby, you got a license for love. And if it expires, pray help from above. Because in the midnight hour, she's crying more, more, more. With a rebel yell, she cried more, more, more. In the midnight hour, babe, more, more, more. With a rebel yell, more, 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 more. Well, it's out all night to collect a better. Just as long as don't mess up his head.
Billy Idol. Rebel Yell. Can't beat a little bit of old Billy there. Are you having a good time? I'm having a good time. Let's close out with one more solid classic here. A bit of The Who. Let's play a little pinball. You're listening to the Haggis and Poutine Show with Willy Canuck. Welcome to Sky Blue Radio. Sounding great at any altitude.
Ever since I was a young boy, I played the silver ball. From Soho down to Brighton, I must have played them all. But I ain't seen nothing like him in any amusement hall. That deaf, dumb, and blind kid sure plays a mean pinball. He stands like a statue, becomes part of the machine. Feeling all the bumpers, always plays clean. Plays by intuition, the digit counters fall. That deaf, dumb, and blind kid sure plays a mean pinball. He's a pinball wizard, there has to be a twist. A pinball wizard's got such a supple wrist. How do you think he does? I don't know. What makes him so good? Ain't got no distractions, can't hear no buzzers and bells. Don't see no lights a flashing, plays by sense of smell. Always gets a replay, never seen him fall. That deaf, dumb, and blind kid sure plays a mean seen him fall. That gift of a black kid sure plays a mean pinball.
You're listening to Sky Blue Radio, sounding great at any altitude.
Oh, that's me out. It's been a great show. Thank you to Mickey McBryan for joining us. What a champ. We got some shows on for the rest of the day, so do check out our schedule on the website, skyblueradio.com. Plenty of content to come today. It is Remembrance Sunday, so all my best to you and yours. In remembrance of all the veterans, past and present. We salute you, and we wish you peace on the upcoming Remembrance Day on November 11th. Next week, for interview, we've got Dominic Smith, editor for FlightSim.com. Dominic dropped in, had a good old conversation for about 30 minutes, and it was really interesting. So do come along for that at 1400 Zulu next Sunday on the Haggis and Poutine Show. I'm your host, Willy Canuck. And it was great to have you along. And please enjoy the rest of your Sunday. May your engine run clean and your wings fly true. I wish you smooth air and clear skies. Good afternoon, folks, and see you next week.